Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Jim Carrey Project. This is the project where we are watching all of Jim Carrey's films in chronological order. I'm your host, Brian Kondrach, and with me, as always, is
Carrie Grant.
And today we just finished watching Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This was a 2004 release, directed by Michael Gondry, or Michel Gondry, depending on how you pronounce it. It was starring, of course, Jim. He's a French guy, I think.
Oh, okay. I was
he's a French guy.
Okay.
So the screenplay was by Charlie Kaufman. Story by Charlie Kaufman, Michael Gondry, and Pierre Bismuth. And it was starring Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet, Kirsten Dunst, Mark Ruffalo, Elijah Wood, and Tom Wilkinson. So not a very big cast. But yeah. Let's go ahead and jump right into it.
And David Cross.
David Cross.
He's
in it, but he's not like even credited in the IMDb or the Wikipedia thing. So
it's a small part.
What'd you think?
Yeah. I thought I liked it.
Yeah.
Because I remember having seen it, and I still did like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a heavy movie from start to finish, and it really. I remember seeing it when it came out in theaters and just having like my mind blown. 2004, I was in college at TCU. Had been going through some emotional stuff with a relationship that I had in high school, and so when this came out and like some of the relationships I was dealing with, I was like, "What is happening?" So it's a heavy movie, and it has a special place in my heart, and I love it. I rewatch it. I'm very excited that we got to rewatch it again because it's been a while since I've seen it, and it holds up.
You're not going through as much
not
anymore.
As much turmoil as I used to. But yeah, it still holds up really, really well.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
I have almost 2 pages of notes that I was just like, oh yeah.
You know, it holds up well in that, the acting is phenomenal. The storyline is still, I think, far-fetched enough that people, like, if someone just saw that today, they'd be like, oh, wow, that's still really crazy. Like, lots of times when things that were, like, almost 15 or 20 years ago we watch now, we're like, oh, well, we almost have that now, like with video phones and, all these kind of things. But, like, this kind of technology, like, still, as far as I know, doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, well, just a heavy night of drinking is what they equate it to. So
pretty
it's
much.
Like we definitely are good at that part.
But that part, the kind of the mystery part of it and the science part of it and the just the storyline is just so like, whoa,
it's everywhere.
Blows my mind. I literally, most of my notes was me just keeping track of what was happening because I was so confused so often. I wanted to like be in case we got to the end and I was like, I don't understand what happened. I wanted to be able to go back and like even ask you, okay, so this happened and this happened and like where, and I mean, it does help you get there in the end, so it wasn't so hard in the end. But early on, it really is confusing.
Yeah,
you don't know what's
dark.
real and what's not real, and
there's a lot of things in it that are confusing. You have a lot of emotional moments where it's like, wait, are we in the dream yet, or where are we? What are we even doing? One of the things that I really like about this movie that does help kind of lead that way is. They make her hairstyle like different.
That does help.
Kate Winslet has her different color hair and stuff, and like they call it out in the movie as like I'm just a girl, I'll do weird hair stuff. But it's a really cool like way for you to keep track of kind of where they are in their relationship. Of course, like what starts at the beginning of the movie at the end of their relationship. Spoilers. It's all over and crazy. But at the beginning of the movie. The end of their relationship, she's got the blue hair,
right?
And then middle of the relationship where it's happy and they're having a good time, it's the orangish hair, the clementine. A little bit before that, it's the red, and then before that,
when they meet,
it was green. So it's
when
like
they first meet, it's green.
Green
you don't know
go.
that.
Yeah. So if you didn't know that,
do you think that's what? Have you read that? Is that what it is? Like,
no, it's just my own take. I'm like, so green means go. Yellow is like middle relationship, kind of cautionary, and then red is I think right before they broke up, when she was. I don't know if she had red before. When he's discussing how much they dislike each other and they're the terrible relationships at the restaurants, she has red hair.
Okay.
Which is like the relationship is coming to a stop. And then it's orange when they're together, and then it's blue when she's sad and like
when she's sad and she erases her memory.
When she goes and changes
okay,
it, so.
that's cool. I didn't go that deep into it. I didn't really break all that down, but that totally makes sense, and it did help for me because I mean, you definitely remember when you first meet her that her hair is blue, and so then when you see them, you know, other times, and you're like, well, what is this?
Where is this
when
part?
Is this
in
part?
The
and then it's very clear. Then at the end when it's blue again, like okay, then like you get it. It's full circle.
Yeah.
But, I didn't really read much into the colors and the mood, but it does make sense. It does kind of work.
I took film aesthetics class in college, so these are things that you're like, hey, what are they trying to say by what color the shirt is, or what color the
obviously
thing
learned
is.
a lot in that.
No.
I would have not have guessed that.
I mean, it ended up being a great way to keep track of what's going on. So let's jump in. Let's talk about Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet. Of course, they play. He plays Joel Barish. And then she plays girlfriend of whatever her name was, Clementine Krasinski.
Yeah.
I am in love with both of them in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, they do such a good job of portraying true and honest relationship like moments throughout this movie. Like, they've got the parts where you're uncomfortable with each other towards the beginning and towards the end, where it's just like, you know what, this is your fault. No, it's your fault. Just like tearing out each other's throats. And then they do these moments of just pure absolute joy throughout the relationship, where the part where he's like, you looked at my crotch and wanted to have sex, or like when they're wrestling underneath the blankets and stuff. It's so very honest and true. Yeah. And then even when they're rekindling their relationship.
Well, and also their boredom.
Yeah.
Like when they're, you know, at the restaurant and they just, you know, they kind of did I think the monologue was in his head because obviously you're in his dream the whole time. Yeah. But like, of just sort of, I think they showed some moments of like,
it's just
like
quiet. No one wants to be there.
Like,
no one does it.
It's uncomfortable. Yeah.
They really live. They really know how to live in each of the moments in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Like they were both phenomenal. I thought, you know, they both have a bit of I mean, I guess it applies. I mean, they talk about it a bit, but they both have a bit of a crazy to them. Like he's sort of quiet crazy, she's sort of loud crazy and big and things like that. And so I think they recognize that in each other and kind of like accept each other with that because, you know, that's how they feel themselves. But also it helps to make the characters very, I don't know, just more dynamic, especially her. I mean, she's big dynamic, but watching him with his quiet, I don't know, like she even says it in the movie a lot of times. She's like, I want to know you more. You don't talk enough. And da 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 da. But it was an interesting character choice in opposed to what she was like, you know?
Yeah, I think that they really did a good job of like writing of the two characters to complement each other and in their what there would be considered, I guess, their weaknesses. Like, you know, he doesn't open up. You said she's a little too talkative. And the writing of it is really good. This is the first time we ever get the phrase when this movie was being written, and it's not even said about it, but it's something that came a couple years later. This is the first real example of writing the manic pixie dream girl, as some people call kind of her attitude. But then he also is just so emotionally what feels stunted at some points that he doesn't know how to express any emotions, whether she shows all of them and he shows none of them. I think they did a good job. We've seen him do a lot of these quiet moments in his movies, and this one, it feels so much different than some of the other ones that he's done, where he has these moments. We see it in his eyes. We do see it in his eyes in this. But it just has such a different feeling to it overall. Like just what he's able to portray in this one.
Well, and they also give him some inner dialogue with it too. So that kind of, whereas lots of times you watch it and you're like, you think you're reading it, but this one, there, not all the time, but sometimes there was like him then walking through it.
Literally saying what we're supposed to be following.
Yeah, so that kind of helps. Like, well, yeah, he is doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me.
I'm glad I'm here to be a part of this. I actually have a note from one of our last episodes. I think it was The Majestic, where I said whisper acting is not acting. My first note is so melancholy at the beginning, but not whisper acting. Like, thank goodness we're not dealing with that. It
wasn't like long periods of whisper acting. There probably was a few moments here and there, or like, he was just super quiet in some of it. But I mean, it was purposeful.
Yeah.
It made sense
by not saying things and not actually speaking in character.
That's what I mean.
He
quiet,
said so much, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, this is such. I have so many notes that I'm just like, they have so many.
I mean, the whole thing was like, there's just so much going on. So there's the whole story of like, what's a dream, what's not a dream. I actually had to kind of, at one point I was like, how is she still interacting with him in the dream? And then finally the doctor said, well, that's your imagination. So then from then on, I was like, okay, so all of these conversations that he's having with her about running away and finding each other and things like that, that's just him wanting her to do that. That's not actually her doing it either, because we never see her dream.
No.
But she still goes to the beach in the end and meets him. So does she have a similar experience?
That gives me goosebumps about it, because it brings up the idea of like, what happens when when no one ever thinks of you anymore? Like, this is where this movie starts getting real freaking deep, where it's like she's already deleted his memories, so she has no reference frame of mind about who he is, what he is, if he exists, whatever. And so now when you get that same action happening in somebody else's mind, where does the existence like, do you just stop existing? Like, that's what happens to her. She's literally breaking down, and her emotions are crumbling because she's in this weird state of her emotion, or her memories are not there, but they're being manipulated by someone who is using somebody else's memories. Patrick, Elijah Wood, who's such a creep in this movie.
He's totally creepy,
But I don't even know how to put this into words.
He's triggering the memories in her, which is then affecting her. But you're right, she also was sort of breaking down even before that, so maybe she was feeling that she was being lost in his memory.
And one of the things that, like, if they have such a strong connection, that he can use his own memories to get her and him to show up after the fact at the same place. Obviously they are more deeply connected to each other than we probably ever could have like imagined. It's like on a level that you only reach with one or two people in your lifetime, if ever.
Mean, like twin things and people like that, where you feel like you feel. I mean, that's sort of what I think it's implying is that
quantum entanglement. But I'm not going to go. I don't even know enough about that.
No, I don't
too
either.
Much. We're looking
you're right.
too much
I mean, the
it.
last bit that when they were together in his memory, and she whispered like, "Meet me in Montauk," and then that's why obviously we know he went. But then why was she there?
Yeah.
Was she going through and
sure she's
because everything
crumbling.
Because a lot of what she said in his brain was stuff that was happening in the moment. It wasn't always a memory. A lot of it wasn't a memory. It was kind of memories early on, and then once he started trying to run away from it, they were having brand new conversations. They weren't memories at all.
Manipulating and creating new memories based on old memories.
So where did her part of the conversation come from? Did it just come from his imagination, or was somehow she telepathing
That's that deeper connection that.
So that whole story's going on. Then they're like such big characters on top of it. It's just like, and then there's even the other characters, like the whole. The people who are working at this clinic,
Mark Ruffalo's character,
have all their own stuff going on. So there's like so many just layers of like
there's so much going on. You know, it's such a, I don't even know. It's not even like emotionally draining. It's a lot of work.
It's work
to keep track of what is happening, and also just to like let it be. Like reading this script the first time must have been absolutely. Incredibly difficult and being like, wait, so is this the dream or is this the real memory? Is this the thing? But I mean, I love the way that they did it. The director, this won a lot of awards for editing and cinematography.
It's beautiful.
And it's just so much into it about what does it actually mean to remember, and what does it mean to have memories of somebody, and what happens if they get manipulated, and how do we manipulate them?
I mean, the cinematography alone is beautiful too. Just all the beautiful beach scenes with the snow, even though we're both like, we don't want a cold beach. But it was gorgeous, and like then suddenly there's a bed on the beach, and they're in the bed, and I mean, the memories when he was a child were hilarious. Like that was kind of good comic relief in a way, because they kind of felt safe in a way, even though he was like playing a 4-year-old and she was like the babysitter. But it was like just the scale of it was funky.
I absolutely,
it almost felt like a foreign film. Some parts of it feel like a foreign film because they do such crazy cinematography things and very different in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, when I was reading about it, a lot of this was all handheld. So they were literally, the reason they did handheld is because the director let Kate and Jim Carrey do a lot of, and actually just Mark Ruffalo and everybody else do a lot of improvisation on set, which, we've seen Jim Carrey do improv. Like, everything is going to be different. And Kate Winslet, this is post-Titanic. This is like, she has been around for a while doing stuff. So she is a phenomenal actress. And so takes would be completely different between one to another. And
then that goes to editing too. Like, what do you choose? Like, there's so much going on. What's the best choice for editing? I don't know. Then?
Like the scene where Kirsten Dunst and Mark Ruffalo are dancing in their underpants with Jim Carrey just laying on the bed was 100% improvised after a scene where they hadn't done that one. It's just Jim, you just wait right there and I'm into it. But the same thing with how like even the beginning, Kate Winslet punches Jim Carrey in the arm. That was improvised. It was an honest reaction and stuff. So it was cool to read about this, that they actually had them, like the director actually had them create these kind of fake relationships that like delve deeper into what the connections are like as humans, and it shows on screen.
It makes it feel more real, and that it definitely shows up, I think.
100%. I have a question here. Is his character in this movie trying to resist from the very beginning before he ever even like starts deleting his memories? Do you think he went in already regretting the idea of like doing it, or do you think that it was something that
I think he
realized later?
I think when he found out that she had already done it, he was so hurt, and he was already in a lot of pain. It was like even more pain on top of it, that he's just like, F it, let's just do it. Gonna do it. And so, but I don't ever think his heart was into it. Like, that's the other question. Is like, I mean, that was a question I wrote down. Like, I mean, have you ever been in enough pain that you would rather totally forget something or a person or whatever it is, an event, going through it, having it, affect and change who you are? I think, go ahead. No, that was a question.
I don't. I have family that have been through some things that they probably would not want to experience that or remember experiencing it, but you lose the joy that comes with the sorrow.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about the darkness and the lightness, and like you can't have great emotional moments without dark, like passing through all the darkness that has with, and it reminds me of the Andy Kaufman movie, and then the Bruce Almighty thing, where Bruce Almighty, where what's her name, Jennifer Aniston's character is praying for him, and she's so upset and distraught that she still loves him.
Take it away. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, and even like Kate Winslet's character Clementine was, at one point she was, it wasn't really her talking, but she was like, how impulsive I am. Like, I just wanted to, I was hurting. I just wanted it over. Like it's like an easy fix, and I think that's sort of the lesson we get at the end, where Kirsten Dunst's character then tells everybody and says, I used to think this was, such an amazing thing, and now once she realized it had been done to her and realized how much it hurt, then to find out that this actually isn't a good thing for people to do.
You don't learn from your mistakes if you don't remember them, that's one of the best lessons about this one is, yes, you might have been uncomfortable and you might not like have a good time for a little while, but with Kirsten Dunst's character, like she's done this, she falls in love with the doctor, she wants to have an affair, they have an affair, and then they get erased, and now she falls into the same trap where she totally forgot. So,
why would it be any different? Why would anything be different?
Yeah, it can't be any different. But she doesn't know what she did, so she can't make choices later
based
to grow as a person.
And I think maybe that's sort of that's what I think it led to us with them too. Except the only difference then toward the end was that, well, they did know, at least. So if they did get back together, which to me was implied.
Yeah, I think it's implied that they go through at least one or two, or maybe even three
it's just
cycles.
the weirdest last scene
Yeah.
because they were playing on the beach and it showed the same scene of them playing on the beach 3 times in a row, and it started over, and it started over, and started over, and I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And my thought was that they still did decide to get back together again, and maybe it didn't work out again, and maybe that's the cycle.
That is an assumption that I had when I first saw it, and I still feel that it is. That's highly likely.
That's what I think too. But going into the second relationship, they knew about the first relationship, and they both listened to the tapes. So they did know what they were getting themselves into. So you could learn from that.
That is. Would you listen to the tapes all the way through? Yeah. Would you go and would you want to know what the relationship was beforehand?
Yeah, because you're so early on, and you're like, oh, I'm attracted to this guy or whatever, and maybe this will work. I'd like to know the hits.
Especially if you've already been together.
And then you could also take it with a grain of salt too, and be like, okay, well maybe let's. Yeah. I still do really like him or love him or whatever it is. So maybe let's then learn from that.
What is it? Yeah. What is it that made us
try
not
harder?
work?
Like that's where it ended up. It was that bad. Well, let's take a different round. See if we can fix that.
And they do. I think they really do that. Where it's like, just wait. What happens if you didn't leave the relationship at the very beginning or leave the house at the very beginning of the relationship? Right. I feel like they're not going to be stuck in a cycle. Yeah. I feel like they definitely would be in a cycle for a little while, or maybe once or twice. But overall, like seeing it at this point in my life compared to what I saw at the beginning, like I hope they're not stuck. I hope they don't just keep deleting each other and erasing each other and doing the same thing, because they have both grown, or I feel like they have both grown as people enough to warrant them to find happiness with each other. Right. You know?
Well, maybe that business closed down and that's not even a possibility anymore. I know, so maybe they...
the legal ramifications of Kirsten Dunst's character, she's stealing everybody's files and sending them out. Files in the back. The legal ramifications themselves are just like, well, she's going to jail because she broke HIPAA tenfold, and he's going to jail.
If it even fell under HIPAA rules. I mean, who knows? Maybe this underground thing that wasn't really legit anyway.
Yeah, what if people were committing crimes and then getting the thing erased? It's like, I don't know if I committed that crime. How would I know?
That was the whole point. It was like, this is a bad idea. Even though, you said with Jennifer Anderson's character in Bruce Almighty, just please take it away. Like, if you want to just forget, but that's just not a good idea.
Yeah, just remember.
It's just never a good idea.
Remember,
you gotta get through it. Yeah.
Talking about legal ramifications and stuff. Patrick, the character of Patrick, Elijah Wood's character. Yeah. I just finished watching all 3 Lord of the Rings movies, so I'm like Elijah Wood up to here with me. But seeing him in this he is so douchey and creepy in this movie. He is. He just has the little tiny goatee. He has the short, weird little 2004 hair. He's got the creepy attitude. Yeah. And he is the reason. I think he's part of one of the reasons that the whole process goes to hell.
Absolutely.
In this one. So 2001.
Well, he was doing unethical things. That then affected this one situation, which then kind of affected the rest of
everybody's situations. Return of the King came out in 2003, and this is 2004. So he finished filming all of his Lord of the Rings stuff, and now he's like, let's do something a little different.
It is a little different. I mean, he doesn't have a huge role in it. But
probably want a huge role in it.
But he was funny in that. I like Mark Ruffalo was in it too. I mentioned once he, even to me, sounded like Rick Moranis, and he did kind of have that nerdy glasses and thing too. I mean, the scene with them dancing in their underwear was so cute and hilarious. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they were. Kirsten Dunst kind of came off as douchey too to me. She seemed all weird and stuff. But then I guess her point. Her role in it was to be that way, and then to learn from it and be.
Her point of view.
That's how it ended. Yeah.
She didn't know she was being a turd. Really.
It's true.
I don't know what I am. Really some specifics that I kind of wanted to talk about when I was doing some research. We talked about how much improv there was. Yeah. The scene where Jim Carrey is talking to the doctor in his own dream, and he's at the table, and then he's at the wall, no, you gotta listen to me. That was not trick camera and stuff. That was Jim Carrey actually standing there doing the scene, putting the hat on, running and sitting down, doing the scene, and taking the hat off, and then running back around. Because this movie just didn't allow for a whole lot of like trick photography. A lot of it was like actual camera movements and using special sets to get around and do things like that. The scene in the kitchen is the same Lord of the Rings forced perspective thing they did to make the hobbits look small, where it's just a big scene set or like distance from the camera to make him look so tiny. I love Baby Jim Carrey.
Baby Jim Carrey was hilarious. The way he's laying and like he was crying and like even when they were in the sink, I know they kind of go down the sink then in the end, but like
I want to sit in a giant sink and get bathed. So I do it.
It's so funny. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's all these dark and brooding and blah blah blah, and then that little spot just like okay, this is funny and cute and different, and
there's so many more beautiful moments between them. And
well, that's kind of cool. That I like that they kind of did it old school like that. Yeah. It makes it even that much more impressive watching it.
Yeah,
you know?
there's a lot of stuff about it that seemed like it would be a fun movie to be a part of.
Yeah.
Except the house. I did read that the scenery with the house, where it's falling apart. Did you read this?
No. But I wondered about it when I watched it.
The crew that was supposed to set that house in the water said that the conditions were too dangerous, and so they walked off the set. And they made the rest of the cast and other crew members do it. Like, where Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet and the cameraman and, like, the directors had to, like, place the house in the ocean so that it would crumble the way that it did.
Really?
Yeah, which is like, that seems not really good. Oh, I know. I think that's what I read.
Crazy.
I know. I need to double check on that.
Wow. I'm trying to read my notes.
I know, and then there's the other point where the scene with the circus coming through town was actually happened when they were filming in New York or somewhere.
Oh, that's cool. It looks kind of real. I kept thinking like
they were like, there's a circus coming.
That was like a lot of different elephants look different, and I was like, that really looks like an elephant parade. Yeah,
they happened to be working nearby, and they're like, hey, look, let's go get this in the film.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah. So and then Kate Winslet didn't know. Jim Carrey didn't know Kate was going to disappear. She just kind of like hit him, and so when he looks around and he's like, where is she? It was like
that was a real
moment. Yeah, this director
cool. I love hearing this.
Yeah, this director Michael Gondry he's so good about getting those little moments of honest and true reactions throughout this movie.
Well, and also just looking for opportunities when you find them, like don't get your head so stuck in like this is what needs to be. If you see something happening, like let it happen.
Yeah. Make it real.
Oh. So one thing that was weird was when they kept trying to suffocate each other with the pillow. I wrote that down. It was just
I think that was them just playing and being flirty in the moment of like, it's Saturday morning, what are we doing?
Let's
kill
And he like pretended to kill himself a couple times too. Yeah. I guess that was just their relationship.
Little weird thing.
Yeah.
Well, because she says when they're doing that, she's suffocating him and he dies, and he's sitting there for a couple of seconds, and she starts poking him and tickling, and she's like, you didn't even get like 3 seconds, so they're trying to see how long you can be dead. So you can really kill me this time.
Yeah.
It's such a cute movie and so many points. There's so many beautiful moments. The little girl, little baby Kate, and her pink hat, and then the adult costume.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet is really powerful.
She's movie. Yeah. I mean, mesmerizing almost. Jim Carrey is great. I feel like she's more almost the star in this one.
Do you think she's the more powerful of the two actors?
I think she is, just because she's so dynamic, and like you're just like for me, I can't take my eyes off of her when she's on screen. Yeah. So like, let's say for instance, if they would both be on screen at the same time, I'd be watching her.
Yeah, you'd want to see what she's gonna do.
But maybe it's her character too. Her character was bigger and
volatile
and always saying like crazy stuff. Like what is she even talking about? Where is she getting this from? So you're kind of like. Whereas he's not always coming out with anything too crazy. Yeah. So like you're trying to figure her out.
Yeah, she's a little volatile. She's a little unknown. Like this, I would really be interested to see this kind of movie from the perspective of her, but also at the same time, if she went in on a whim to get him deleted, she has no remorse, or she's not trying to hold on to any of the memories that like she had gotten rid of. So it isn't until after the fact that she starts being
we
deleted
don't know
herself.
For sure,
True,
but
it's an emotional moment.
Yeah.
I just love the guy in the doctor's office with his bowling trophy. He's like, I don't want to remember any of this.
There's little bits like
bowling.
that. And the other lady had her dog stuff,
Yeah.
which I guess a dog too. But I mean, it was like
I wouldn't want to lose that memory of the dog or anything
she
like
was
that.
sad with the big bone sticking out in her box.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I thought the location again with the whole Montauk thing was interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing I wrote down is like is
Have you been there?
there a place like I don't know if you died or whatever you're like that's I felt like Montauk was like their place.
Yeah.
That's where they met and that's where they rekindled. But like I don't know. I just thought it was.
Is that their
kinda-
heaven? Are they actually both dead after all of this? Yeah.
I mean, could be.
I know, right? I think that place holds a special place for them, just
Yeah.
like Company on Stage holds a special place for us. It's where we.
Yeah.
It's not where our relationship ended by any means, but it's where our
did meet
friendship
there.
started.
We met there at an audition,
and
so yes.
it's like if you were going to go back and delete memories of ours, it's like that
That's
would
where
be
it
the
would
very
start.
first one or
That
the very
kinda makes
last
sense,
one.
yeah.
Remember Company on Stage.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't even
There's
know
a lot.
where else
I
to
mean,
go with this, but I mean, loved it. It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I still will probably be laying in bed tonight, like, okay,
What
that makes sense, or
Yeah.
like working through things. Still, like, I still feel like there's a lot to.
It's
unpack.
worth a second watch today.
Yeah,
to be honest,
you could watch it back to back
yeah.
easily and still figure out more.
Yeah, the original idea came from them just asking, hey, what would happen if you got a letter from somebody that just said, hey, so-and-so has deleted you from their memory? And it's like, then it started going after that. Ended up having a really nice bidding war, I think,
cool.
to get production, but I think it took a while for them to get it. What else? Filming and post-production. Editing was probably really difficult. Oh, yeah, here. Production team had to build the corner of a house on the beach and allowing the tide to rise. Executing the effect was difficult, and the special team hired said they would not do it. And so he fired them and then had the rest of the production team go set the thing in the water. And then he was reprimanded by the union rep, the union. But we have to get this done. It looks it looks so good.
Yeah.
Making that house just crumble as the world is just falling apart is just absolutely bonkers.
Very moving.
This has a 93% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. 8.4 out of 10. So still holds up really, really well.
Yeah.
Lots of acclaim on being able to act. Both Kate and Jim Carrey nominated for Best Actor and Actress for Golden Globes, British Film Awards. She got nominated for Best Actress for Academy Awards, but did not win. But it did win Best Original Screenplay.
Oh, well, it was. It definitely was original even for the time, but even now, it still seems...
At the same time that it came out, Memento came out, so they were worried about two different kind of movies about memory being out at the same time. But Memento is such a different,
I don't think I've seen that.
it's a psychological kind of thriller where Guy Ritchie tattoos himself to try and remember things that had happened, and then someone, of course, manipulates it and is like, you don't trust this guy, but why not? And so it's a weird one too.
Yeah.
If you had trouble following this, you'll have trouble following
Definitely not.
Guy Ritchie.
Don't drink and watch one of these. You got to have your senses to you.
Yeah.
This one had a little more of comedy, romance,
some lightheartedness to it.
It had. Yeah, I kind of like that.
They definitely wanted to go away from the psychological thriller feeling of it.
Yeah.
So, it did have a budget of $20 million. So I think that a lot of the actors definitely took lower salaries to be a part of this, but it seems like it would be an interesting project to be a part of.
Yeah, that's probably why. And maybe they had some money.
And then had a budget and a box office of $74 million. So it's a lot less money.
It's kind of a different kind of
you would
movie.
think that it would be.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least they made their money back and then some.
Yeah.
It earned less in its first opening weekend, of course, but then it did in built up a lot of other stuff.
See that.
So
because you kind of look at it and you're like, what is this about?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Even the title, it's like, oh, this is a long title. Like,
yeah,
what
it's supposed to be 18 words. I don't know what the original title is supposed to be, but
really?
it's supposed to be 18 words.
The whole quote, maybe.
Probably, I think.
Yeah.
It might have been the whole quote, which is
by the Alexander Pope. They said it was from Alexander Pope.
Not Pope Alexander?
No, not Pope Alexander. That was the joke in there. Yeah. So already people are like, I don't know. Like, people wouldn't necessarily know what to think about till they heard, oh, it's good, you should go see it.
Yeah, definitely go see it.
I give it it's such a different kind of thing, but like so well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like 9 and a half, or maybe even,
Yeah. I had trouble like not getting just sucked into the whole thing. I love the effects and how they just dark handheld lighting and like the cameras just don't know what's happening with the handheld stuff. Like I definitely give it a 9.5 because it's a great rewatch and it's a super fun movie.
I'll watch it again.
Yeah,
I will. Maybe I'll follow it even better. It's probably been. I probably watched it right when it came out. It's been since then.
Oh, I remember seeing it in theaters and was very much like, this is amazing.
It pulls you in a lot. Yeah,
I loved it. So I think that about wraps it up for this episode.
It was a fun one.
Check it out, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yep.
There's way more notes than we actually got to.
Yes.
But we got to get some lunch or something. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with the Jim Carrey Project. I am Brian Kondrach.
And Carrie Grant.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on all the things. Follow us wherever you get podcasts. Check us out next episode where we are going to be watching Jim Carrey's version, Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
I haven't seen that.
So it is a fun movie, and I hope you guys have a great night, day, whatever. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.